news in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got a Thursday edition of the program. We're glad you're along for the ride. Yes, professional sports are back in action this weekend. PGA Tour kicks off over, I believe, in Hilton Head starting today. So that'll give you something to watch out there, folks. But first, we're going to go to the Titan MRR hotline, and we're going to be joined by former Gator point guard, Eddie Shannon. Good morning, Eddie. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. Glad to be on the show, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Eddie, I want to go back to your days back in West Palm Beach, growing up, playing hoops for Cardinal Newman. Were you always just strictly a hoops guy, or did you play any other sports growing up before high school?
No, it's interesting. I played baseball and I also played football. I played so my freshman year at Cardinal Newman, I played JV and freshman. And then I was in the spring, I was going to play varsity my 10th grade year. I did all the spring workouts for varsity, but I missed spring basketball. Now my first love was always basketball, but I probably was a better football player, to be honest with you. And, relatively close in baseball too. But my love was basketball.
What position did you play in football and baseball?
So my JV and freshman year, I played in football. I was a running back, but that was the first time I ever played running back. In PE, I always played receiver. And when I was working out with varsity, I was at receiver position. That was my natural position. And I was also a DB, and I played some safety too. And then in baseball, I was second base and shortstop. So, but that first experience of missing spring basketball with the team, it took a toll on me. And after spring, I cut the other two sports out. Now, hindsight's 2020. If I had it all over to do again, I would have finished out my entire high school career with all three sports.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. Play it all while you can. You never know.
Absolutely.
But obviously, it turned out great for you. You were twice the 3A Player of the Year here in the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about once you got a lot of interest from colleges coming after Eddie Shannon. Mm-hmm. What other schools were you looking at to possibly going to, and what made you choose the University of Florida?
Yeah, so the recruiting process for me, it got overwhelming really, really quick. And I eliminated a lot of it really quick as well. So I could have visited NC State, Vanderbilt, Florida, obviously. I visited Arizona, took an official visit there. Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech. I mean, there's a list of schools that I can name that I could have gone to. I was recruited by just about every school. It's only schools that I can remember that actively didn't recruit me pretty hard were Duke and North Carolina, because those were two of the schools that I wanted to recruit me, but they didn't. So, obviously Florida, I had big interest in Florida because I'm from Florida, and I had an interest in Miami as well, and also Florida State. And I took a liking to Arizona, coincidentally, even though it's on the West Coast. But Coach Olson and his assistants, they did a great job. And they had Damon Stoudemire at the time. And me being a point guard, obviously I played a little bit like I was a scoring point guard. So, and Damon, he really was blowing up at the time. So I took a visit to Arizona, and I loved it out there. And I actually orally committed to Arizona. So I get back to West Palm, and my high school coach is like, "You can't do that. What are you doing? I mean, you have other visits that you need to take. You need something to compare it to." So I ended up calling Coach Olson and saying, "Hey, my high school coach wants me to at least take a visit to another school." And that other school would be Florida with Coach Kruger and Coach Ron Stewart and those guys, and Coach McCallum. And so that was a week later, once I took a visit to Florida, who was also coming off a Final Four, as to Arizona. I had a great time. My host was Brian Thompson. He did a phenomenal job with me. The meat hook was there, obviously, and the hoopla around Florida basketball at the time, and Coach Kruger was really, really high. And the thought of being able to go home and not jump on 2 flights did intrigue me at that time. And I ended up decommitting and choosing Florida. Now, the interesting story really about that. So when I committed to Arizona, because I was the number one player on their list, Jason Terry committed to Washington. So when I decommitted, he decommitted from Washington and ended up at Arizona.
Oh wow!
Now look how that worked out for him.
That dude played a long time in the NBA.
Yeah, he was a great player. He went to Arizona. He had a great career there, and then had a great long career in the NBA.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty good story.
So let's go back to, I think you were around 10 years old, playing with some buddies out in the yard or somewhere, and a rock somehow hit you in the eye. And if people don't know, Eddie has played pretty much his high school, college, pro career with one eye, which to me is just truly amazing. Talk a little bit about how that all worked. You had some surgeries, and how difficult was it to transition to being only just able to see out of one eye?
Well, I don't even know. I won't even call it a transition because I never stopped playing. Right. So what happened was, before school, before catching the bus, our bus stop was right next to a park. So normally, we play basketball, just do things. I think I was in 7th grade actually. Just doing stuff, being kids, throwing things at each other, and unfortunately, I ended up getting hit in the eye. Um, didn't think anything of it. I mean, obviously my eyes swelled up and everything. I ended up not going to school that day. And I had a football game later that night. And this is the stubborn me. So I'm ice packing it all day when my eyes swollen. It's bloodshot red. It's swollen. So I'm ice packing it while I'm home. I'm talking to my grandmother on the phone. And, she was at work, so she was just, hey, do this and do this and do this. Now she didn't know that my intentions for doing it were so I could play in the football game later that night. Um, so some of the swelling went down, not all of it. But I ended up finding a pirate eye patch somewhere in the house. I have no idea where it came from. I go to the football game with this patch on, right? And I play. My eye's not as swollen as it was that morning, but it was still really, really red. And obviously everybody, hey, what happened to your eye? So, I flip it up, it's red and everything normally. So I play in the football game. And because of all the running and hitting and all of that, what happened was I ended up getting a blood clot in my eye because of that.
Oh, wow.
And so once I got home, it started to be more painful and it was more red. So at that point, we were like, okay, he needs to see an eye doctor. So I go to the eye doctor, and obviously they tell me that, hey, you have a blood clot. We have to do surgery. So they do a surgery on me. And to be honest with you, I can't recall, but obviously from where I come from, we didn't have the funds to afford the best eye doctor in town, so to speak. So I went I remember her name, Catherine Lowe, Dr. Lowe, I remember her name. But anyway, she performed a blood clot surgery on me, and said, hey, in 3 to 6 months, you should have your vision back. Well, that time came and I didn't, right? And so I started seeing another doctor, and that doctor ended up telling me that I had a cataract. Now, cataracts are usually found in older people. As they get older, they start to develop, these cataracts. And it was very rare for somebody my age, 12, 13 years old, to have a cataract. And what they told me was the blood, there was blood left in my eye, and that blood got infected, and it progressed to a cataract. So I ended up having to have surgery on that. Now by that time, I believe I was another year older at that time, and I did miss some sports because after that blood clot, I couldn't do anything else. I wasn't going to risk that anymore. So I missed some basketball, I missed some football, I missed some baseball. And I'm a competitor. I'm a diehard. I was an athlete. Like I just wanted to be doing something. So the cataract was performed. And again, I was told, hey, you should be able to, you should have your vision back within, 3 to 6 months. That time came, still, my vision was blurry. Like I could see out of it. Like if you put your fingers up, I can see that you have your fingers up, but I couldn't tell you how many. So I could see some stuff, but not. I would call it legally blind at that time because I really like if I closed my left eye, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't function properly. Like knowing where I couldn't drive that way. So at that point, I was like, I'm not saying anything, and I was getting ready for my freshman year in high school. Um, I didn't say anything. My vision never got better. From a pain perspective, no pain. Cosmetically, nothing. Looked normal. So I just went with the flow, and nobody knew. I was the only person that knew. My grandparents didn't know. My friends didn't know. Other relatives didn't know. My coaches didn't know because there was nothing that would trigger a reason to ask anything. It looked normal, felt normal, and obviously I was pretty decent at sports still. But get to Florida, go through the process, and even when we did the physical, I would tell them that they say, hey, you do the eye test and everything, and I say, hey, I had surgery on this eye, and I should have my vision back, sometime just to get out of it. But the summer of my junior year, I, for some reason, the pain just became unbearable, and also cosmetically, my eye began to get really, really red. Like, and if I go outside, the sun had a major effect on me at that time. It felt like my eye was real sensitive to the sun, and I couldn't, like, I had to say something. So I went to Chris Koenig, who was our athletic trainer at the time, and I told him, and he said, "Hey, you need to see a eye doctor." And so I went to see the eye doctor, and they told me the only thing that they could do to, obviously, they couldn't save the eye, but for pain and cosmetic reasons, they had to do an enucleation. And what an enucleation is, it's where they remove parts of the eye. So that I wouldn't be in pain, and that I can, go on and live a regular life. They didn't know how that would impact basketball, and Coach Donovan didn't either. Nobody knew. And what I still remember, Coach Donovan brought me into his office, and this is when the swamp. I mean, I'm sorry, not the swamp, but the O Dome They were doing work on the O Dome, and the basketball offices was in the swamp at that time. And he brought me into his office. He said that you can have your scholarship, but if you chose to walk away, I'm completely fine with that. I'll pay for you to finish school and all of that. I said, Coach, so I've been blind in my eye, pretty much my entire life. I was like, I'm not, once this is all over, I'm playing. That's not a question. That never crossed my mind. I just needed to get through that process and continue, playing the game that I had always played and loved, and try to fulfill my dreams of playing at the next level. So that's the story about my eye, pretty much in a nutshell, if that was a nutshell.
That's really amazing. So, you get here in '95, as you mentioned. Lon Kruger was the guy that recruited you here. He and his staff, as you mentioned, coming off a Final Four. Then Billy Donovan comes in. Did you know anything about Billy? He's this young coach coming in, and then what's amazing is the year after you left, I believe we went back to the Final Four. So you were kind of between. But just talk a little bit about the similarities and the differences between Lon Kruger and Billy Donovan.
Well, at that time, style of play was completely different. Lon was more of, walk it up, slow the game down, we'll keep the game in low numbers. At that particular time, that was the style of play. For me, that style was not beneficial. I had not been accustomed to playing that way, and my game had not developed under that style of play. My strengths were my athleticism, my speed, my quickness, and a need to utilize that Um, and Billy, on the other hand, he was Billy the Kid. Everything was fast paced, pressing, um, trying to score as many points as possible, trying to create a lot of turnovers, shooting a lot of threes. And it was kind of like the way the game is played now. Not so much pressing, but just the flow of the game, shooting a lot of shots and using skilled guys even at the bigger positions. And so I did not know a whole lot about Billy. I will say that Marshall, when he was at Marshall, they did try to recruit me. Coach Grant did, because Coach Grant was from Miami. I was a West Palm guy, so he recruits the state of Florida. So I had several conversations with him while they were at Marshall. Now, obviously, I never considered Marshall because there were much bigger schools recruiting me that I had more interest in. But needless to say, I think that that transition between coaches for me was a blessing in disguise. Just from a style of play standpoint, two phenomenal coaches just had two different styles.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is when you watch Oklahoma play, Coach Kruger play now, those guys get up and down. Yeah, they get up and down. So, but I was certainly happy with the decision I made with Coach Kruger, and had he stayed, I knew things would have worked out. I had no problem adapting. But just having Billy come in was great for me, and great for obviously the University of Florida.
No doubt. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. June is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Visit them at wrapspot.com today. We're speaking with Eddie Shannon on the Titan MR hotline. You can follow him on Twitter at Coach Shannon14. Eddie, so we just got a text here from Joe. Joe says on the Titan MR text line, he wants to know, Eddie, great job overcoming adversity. What would you say is the greatest moment in your Gator career?
So when I was at Florida, and those guys came off of a Final Four, we didn't have a whole lot of success my first couple of years. Even with Billy first year, we were just okay. And that third year, we got significantly better. Jason Williams was a part of the program then. And then in that year, he ended up leaving the team midway through the season. And we, towards the tail end of the season, we kind of tailed off, but we were having a pretty good season that year. And we played in the NIT. We ended up losing to Georgetown at the buzzer in the O-Dome. And then my senior year was probably, the most fun I had playing at Florida. I mean, we had, just the camaraderie, everybody shared the same vision and wanted to be on the same page, and the coaching was terrific. And I would say the greatest moment for me, is probably from a team perspective, just being able to play in the NCAA tournament my senior year and making it to the Sweet 16. Now, the bitter part of that one was the way we lost in the Sweet 16 was very heartbreaking. But I would say that was just making the tournament after some of the stuff that, some of the seasons that we had that weren't, favorable for us those first couple of years.
I don't know if you came back for the celebration when they named the Billy Donovan court or what have you, but your career is kind of similar to mine. I was here when Coach Spurrier got here, so I was on his first three teams, and we're proud of those first few teams. We're proud because we kind of laid the foundation for what he built later on. That's similar to you. You were on Billy's first teams. You didn't get to a Final Four or win a national title, but you helped build the program to where it became under Billy. Just talk a little bit about, were you at the celebration? You probably weren't because you're probably coaching at the time. I can't remember, but what it meant for you to see that if you weren't there.
Yeah. So, Coach Donovan and the staff and everybody that was around, they always say that whenever we talk about those things, that, some of the guys that I were with, we were the foundation of what he built at Florida. And I'm proud of that for sure. Um, because I mean, he took Florida to places that nobody could see. Only Jeremy Foley saw it. Nobody knew that Florida. Florida was always a football school, and football's done extremely well. And for Coach Donovan was able to come and make the basketball program a national recognized and respectable program, for many, many years. And just to be able to say that I was a part of that, that's a very humbling for me. Um, I was not at the celebration. I remember when I saw the date, when it came out and I saw the date, I looked at our schedule and I was like, I think it started at 8 p.m. on a Saturday night on like February, sometime in February. But we had a game on the road at Fern. And I immediately texted him and I was like, hey, coach, very excited about, what was going on. It was well deserved. But I won't be able to make it. Obviously, we had a game. But a lot of my former teammates made it, and I kept in contact with them throughout the process. And they were sending me pictures, and all of that. But that is one event that I wish I could have been at. I really do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So Eddie, after your playing days, you went overseas, played about 10
Mhm.
years professionally.
Mhm.
What was that
Mhm.
experience like? Because you played in a bunch of different countries.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It was awesome. Just having the experience to play somewhere different and learn, different cultures and just expand, some of the things that I didn't know, some of the things that we all, as Americans, we always thought were myths about certain other places, countries, Europe, and in that nature. Um, Living in the cold, for the first time, consistently seeing snow, um, being around people that didn't speak the same language, that view the world differently than you did. Um, it was a phenomenal experience for me, but I was always an open-minded person. Um, and the basketball was tremendous. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, the level of play was, I didn't expect that. And I was like, you know, the world is missing something. But as time started to go on, more and more of these Europeans started to trickle into the NBA, rightfully so, because guys can play. But the experience, I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. I wouldn't, as much as I wanted to play in the NBA and probably still wish I had played in the NBA for some years, I wouldn't trade that experience. I think, I even think now today, like, man, you lived in Siberia. You only read about that in the history books,
Right.
and it was like, okay, we're talking about Siberia and Russia, ex-Yugoslavia. I don't need to know much about that. And let me just take this test, get these answers right. I'll never be there. You end up in Siberia. You end up in Latvia. You're in the north of France. And so me coming from Riviera Beach, like, I never imagined that. And only basketball could do that for me. And I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, we got a couple Facebook Live comments here brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred business interruption attorneys. Rick says, great job overcoming adversity, Eddie. Jan says, thank you, Eddie, for being a Gator. Eddie, let's talk a little bit, once you were done playing ball, which it all comes to an end for us at some point,
Mhm.
you got into coaching. And now you're a college coach at UT Chattanooga, the Mocs, which is a really good, that league there is a really good league. And
That's where Billy came from.
yeah, Billy came from there. I know Matt McCall was the head coach there
Mhm.
for one time.
Mhm.
So good ball there. Just talk about how you enjoy coaching college ball. And man, are you on your phone nonstop recruiting these kids these days?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's great because, obviously I was a college basketball player and you see so many things happening before they happen because you experienced it. And, you try to tell these kids, hey, don't do this, don't do that, do this and do that. You're not saying it just because you think it's right or wrong or whatever. You're saying it because you've been there before. But what I've learned, experience has always been the best teacher because they're gonna do it regardless. And I often think back, well, was I like that? And I think I was. I really do. I really think I was. But for me, it's great because I get to see these kids dream and follow their dreams and help them through the process and mentor them and help them, become men and hopefully be great leaders in their communities. It's great for me. I get to share my experiences and build these relationships. Some of these guys are playing overseas now. One of our players that was at chat with when I was here with McCall the first time, his name is Trey McLean. He played for the team that I played for in Russia. So when he went back, he met people that I met when I was there. And I just think that's phenomenal. Um, I would, and it's just phenomenal, and just being able to be around the game that I love and coach the game, and take some of the stuff that I have in my brain and try to help these kids and put it in their brain and see what I see, and just kind of and learn from them as well. Because I think even as coaches, we learn from our guys. We learn a lot. We learn how to to deal with them. Their personalities, how to help them through things that they may have suffered from as when they were younger, how to help them through that. Because I think it's bigger than just coaching. It's a lot more than just coaching. To be honest with you, I think coaching is a small part of it. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be able to coach, obviously, and to coach at a great school like Chat. Chat's a tremendous school. It's one of the better athletic teams in the SoCon in every sport. Kind of like Florida is in the SEC.
When you like recruiting basketball is so intriguing to me because, pretty much the big boys, the Kansases, the North Carolinas, the Dukes, the Blue Bloods, they already have they're already tracking these kids as eighth graders, and they're on their radar. Is it difficult at a school, a mid-major, when you go out on the road to recruit? I mean, you know what kids you can't get. So do you even talk to those kids, or you just go straight to the next tier?
Well, I think you spend the most time with the kids that you have a chance at.
Mhm.
Now, just because a kid could be a 5-star, 4-star doesn't mean you can't communicate with them, because a lot of times, I may know somebody that kid knows, whether it's his AAU coach or his uncle that I might have played against in the SEC. So it's about relationships, to be honest with you. And you're starting to see more and more, of the top tier guys, they're okay with going mid major, because at the end of the day, if you're a good enough player, you will be seen. The NBA they have guys everywhere. Ja Morant went to Murray State, second pick in the draft. What more proof do you need that it does not matter where you're at? If you can play, you can play. I think the Miami Heat have a kid on their team who played Division II, and then he ended up going to Michigan for a year, and then now he's with Miami Heat, and he had a very good season. So it's about relationships. It's truly about relationships and building a relationship with the kids. To the point where there's trust from him, his parents, people around him, his influential circle. And now, obviously, there will be, at our level, there will be some kids that you just can't spend time with them, because if you spend time with kids that are a long shot, I mean, you waste resources, you waste time. You have to put in that time and those resources into kids that you do have a shot with at this level. But it's okay to have those relationships, because that family may have a cousin or a brother down the road, or somebody that you may be able to recruit after that kid.
Right.
And again, it's about relationships. They may say, "Hey, I know this guy at UTC. I think you'd be a good fit. He's a great guy. We trust him. We like him." And there you go. Recruiting's
So
already done.
let's talk a little bit about. I want to say the SoCon tournament. Y'all got your tournament in before all the COVID stuff happened,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, well, y'all did, but I want you to talk to and let people know, that's the number one goal, whether you're Kentucky, Florida, Duke, or whatever, is to get into the NCAA tournament. That's the
Mhm.
number one goal because that gives you a chance to win a title. At the mid-major level, what is it like for those guys in the locker room to have an opportunity to get to the big dance and have an opportunity to play against a UCLA, a Florida, a Duke, or something like that? I mean, what is it like for those type of kids?
Man, it's I mean, that's their Super Bowl.
Mhm.
That is their Super Bowl. That is their NCAA championship, so to speak. We went to the tournament in 2016 here at Chat, and those guys, I mean, that was everything for them. That's everything that they worked for that entire year. It wasn't enough to just win a regular season championship because SoCon is a one bid league. You can win the regular season title and still not make the NCAA tournament. No matter what you do, you have to win the conference tournament in order to make the NCAA tournament. You could be the worst team in the league, but if you catch fire in the tournament and you win it, the team that won 25 games, that's their season. That's it. It's done. Um, so those guys understand that, the guys in this league, and they know that that is what they're playing for. That is their Super Bowl. You get to the conference tournament championship, that's everything. All the marbles are on the line. You're gonna do everything you can to win the game. You pull out all the stops as coaches um, to try to secure the game and get to the NCAA tournament because that is what we are judged by. Can you make the tournament? And that is really what helps in recruiting. When was the last time you were in a tournament? You know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And for Chattanooga, the tradition is so great here in the SoCon that they, obviously they're the number one team as far as NCAA tournament appearances in the conference.
Last thing for you, Eddie. In 2015, you were Florida's basketball legend at the SEC tournament. I'm not sure if you were able to go because you were probably coaching, but what did that mean to you to be honored as a Florida legend at the SEC basketball tournament?
Yeah, I did end up being able to go.
Awesome.
That was at towards the end of the year. So for me, it just, it was emotional because it felt, just to have that respect. I know what the University of Florida produces, and for them to select me to be the SEC legend that year, I was humbled, I was honored. It meant a lot to me, and a lot of things came full circle for me. Just playing the game, you know, obviously having, playing the game with one eye. I had the opportunity to play overseas, but just knowing that my career at Florida didn't go unnoticed. I didn't win as much as I would have liked to, but just knowing that the people around Florida, the people that influence, the people that make decisions respected me enough and thought enough of me to put me in that position. I was really truly honored and
Well,
still am.
well, you're a inspiration to everyone, my man. You're a great Gator. We appreciate you joining the show today, and good luck to the Mocs this year in basketball. We'll be following you.
Thank you so much, Shane, and I appreciate you for having me on your show. And it's always go Gators, man. That's family.
No doubt about it. That's Eddie Shannon, former Gator great point guard, join us on the Titan MR hotline. Hey, folks, at Center State Bank, we put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Come in and experience the Center State difference. To learn more, visit centerstatebank.com. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're going to take our first time out of the program. We come back, we'll be joined by Wayne Fields and Danny Grant talking about a high school track meet here in Gainesville. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. The Best Restoration, Masters of Disasters. Pound Hurt, your preferred personal injury attorneys. Peachland Dental, Gator fans' first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School,
Doreen Weeby Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish,
Radware, Wrap Spot,
and Style Cuts.
If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Saturday, June 20th, the Peak Performance Track Club will have the first safe track and field event of the year. The meet will feature the top track clubs in the country. This event will take place at Santa Fe High School track in Alachua. Competition starts at 8:30 a.m. for ages 5 years to 19 and above. Masks are required and social distancing will be enforced. For more information, contact Danny Grant at 352-214-4981.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where Gators come to celebrate. We really want to thank Eddie Shannon for joining us on the Titan MR hotline. With a tremendous interview, and just we got a lot of Facebook Live comments here brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred business interruption attorneys. Todd says, great interview. Thanks so much, Eddie. Jan says, Eddie is a quality person. Go Gators. Now we're going to be joined by our good buddy Wayne Fields, former Gator football player, and his partner, Danny Grant, who runs Peak Performance Track Club here in the Gainesville area. We're going to talk about a big track meet going on this weekend. Good morning, fellas. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. How you feeling today?
I'm doing great, man. I like your background there. You got some dudes running the high hurdles.
Yeah, doing a little bit, showing those skills.
Yes, indeed. So, Wayne, let us know what your business has offered to Peak Performance, the track meet this weekend.
Well, mblistings.org has provided Peak Performance with Danny Grant, of course, running the track club. But this is his 5th year putting on the track meet, and he's done a great job in bringing the teams that'll be traveling from all over the country to come here. And so what we tried to do, because of COVID-19, the pandemic, that we wanted to make a top priority to make sure that safety is first. Safety for the kids, safety for the coaches, and safety also for the spectators. And so we've assembled sponsors for him to make sure a lot of that is taken care of. And as well, we've brought some sponsors to give him publicity, to let people know about the track meet, to let people know exactly how safe we intend to make it with social distancing and making sure that the CDC requirements in the questionnaire are asked by a security company. So we think we've done a good job. We have gotten you as a sponsor. Shade Matthews, Pot Up with him in the morning. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the work that you all have done.
No doubt about it. So from a standpoint, track meets outside, are participants have to wear a mask while they're running their events? What about folks sitting in the stands? Are they going to have to wear a mask?
Well, we are provided masks by Titan MRI. They've given us some 500 masks to pass out, in addition to making sure that social distancing with Fortitude Security, guy by the name of Deshaun Kane, is going to make sure that people are practicing social distancing, making sure that they are not all grouped together. And I'll be on the microphone making announcements, reminding people how important it is to practice social distancing. But the security company will help us out a little bit. And as well, we'll make sure that we have hand sanitizer out. And some of the questions that will be asked was, have you had any type of contact with someone who has been positive for COVID-19? And if they answer yes, in the last 2 weeks I have, unfortunately, they won't be allowed to come in. And so all coaches, all athletes, they will be asked questions as well related to COVID-19, and they'll be required to have masks and use hand sanitizer throughout the day.
So we have Danny Grant as well, who is in charge of the Peak Performance Track Club of Gainesville. Danny, let everybody know the dates and times of the track meet.
So the track meet is going to take place on Saturday, June 20th. It's going to be at Santa Fe High School with the assistance of Coach Turner and the principal, Dr. McClare. They're giving us an opportunity to host a meet, and we're very appreciative of it. So this is going to start at 8:30, and people from all across the nation coming to join us and, help us out and give these kids an opportunity to be able to run and salvage a portion of their season.
Now, is this track meet, as you mentioned, is it more teams or individuals or both? And is it locally or kids from all over the state?
That's a great question. It's a combination. There's a lot of high school kids that needed to have some performances, standout seniors that had their seasons short, that are still looking for some scholarship opportunities. So we have a good crowd of high school kids coming from all over. We have teams from Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, Tennessee, a couple kids from Nebraska, Louisiana, and a pretty decent contingent from Missouri, with all hopes of putting up some type of marks to either be able to walk on or still secure some scholarship opportunities. And so it's a good combination of kids that's going to be coming from all over the place.
When is the deadline for registering this meet?
The deadline is going to be 2:00 today, and everybody can enter at coacho.com. And when they enter the site, when they go down to the calendar, if they go down to June 20th, they'll be able to select the 5th Annual Peak Performance Invitation and enter from there.
Now, Wayne, you're going to be doing some PR work, not PR, but you're going to be the voice of this track meet, be introducing the kids and calling you get excited when they run the 100?
I get very excited. That's the most exciting event that takes place, in addition to that 4x1 meter relay. And it will be an exciting event. All of the events, first of all, are going to be exciting because this is the first track meet in the country. And kids, they haven't been training long. So it's going to be very important that we make sure that they are competing, but they are also competing safely. So a couple of our sponsors that we have, particularly Powerade and Body Armor. Coke Florida is going to be out there helping us out, making sure that the kids are hydrated, as well as Powerade. Powerade is putting a lot into this to make sure that the kids are going to be safe. And I absolutely want to wear this part. These are the masks that we've been provided by Titan MRI. Thank you all very much. And we will be passing these out in case some of the kids do throw theirs down or lose them, or they come without them. So we'll try and assist them as well. And if I can mention some of the other sponsors that we have Kiss 105 and 99 Jams, and they're very successful in what they do as far as programming music. Eric Jewell over there and Doug Gillum. We also have Ed Dix Realty and he'll be coming out, and we'll have a special message that we'd like to share with the kids. The protests that are going on involving racism across the country and as well worldwide. And we have some special people coming out. Clovis Watson, who is the candidate for Alachua County Sheriff's, he'll be delivering a message on how important it is to not only participate in activities like this, but also to make sure that they stay out of trouble and don't be influenced by people with bad intentions. In addition, Dion McGraw, who's running for the Alachua County School Board, will come out and talk about the importance of education. And then, of course, the House of Representative candidate Rodney Long will be out there as well, talking about how important it is to vote. So while we are capturing the attention of the kids that are out there, we want to make sure that we deliver a message to them.
That's good stuff. So my question is, are we going to have like a celebrity 100-yard relay race between Danny and Wayne Fields when it's all said and done?
We're actually going to have a 50-yard walk. I don't think I can beat Danny at all.
I got to ask Danny, what you're a track guy. What was your event, your best event when you ran track?
So I think my best event was the 400. But the way our coach trained us, man, we were able to run 100s, 200s, and 400s. We didn't have a big team at Gainesville High School when I ran, so we pretty much did all the sprint events. We were responsible for the jumps and all the relays. So, but I went to state in individual 400, so I think that's my best race.
Okay, Wayne, what was I know you ran track back in the day. What was your best event?
Oh, I did a high jump. I did a little bit of broad jump, a long jump, but I have definitely sworn to tell the truth. And so, as you know, my biggest track event was making that 12-minute run when we reported back to football practice starting out the season.
No doubt.
And so I was able to make maybe 5 or 6 laps in a 12-minute run. But other than that, I didn't do too much on the track.
I tell you what, it takes special people to run track. All my years playing sports growing up, I was a football, baseball, basketball guy.
Yeah.
You sit over there and you watch these dudes run all day long doing this training for 10 seconds in a track meet. It takes a lot of training and determination to be a track athlete. And obviously here at the University of Florida, tremendous track coach from Mouse Holloway and what they do. But I've always tipped my cap to people who run track because so much training involved for just a short period of time.
It's tough, absolutely. And doing this event along with Danny, I went to school with his dad. So I am very proud to be able to associate with Peak Performance and Danny Grant Jr. And in addition to that, his sister, who works for the Gainesville Police Department, who's a captain now, Paris Owen. She's done a great job over there. So to be able to work with this family is special to me.
Yeah. Last thing, Danny, let people know one more time today. I think you said the deadline is at 2:00, and let everybody know what time it kicks off this weekend.
Yeah, the deadline for entries are 2:00 today. You can enter at www.coacho.com. The events kick off with the 300 hurdles at 8:30. Then we're going to move from there to the 1,500, 110 hurdles, and then a lot of the sprint events. And I just want to say something real quick. I appreciate Wayne, for all this help, because I saw him do an event over at the Sportathon, and I approached him and I told him that, I like what he did, and I think that I would like to try to bridge the gap because, to me, there's an older generation that kind of works together. There's a younger generation that works together, and there's rarely a time where those generations get together and work. So, my whole idea was that we could bridge the gap. I'm familiar with Wayne. I'm familiar with his kids. I went to school with his son. And I just thought it was a good idea. I appreciate him. And Shane, I appreciate you having me on the show, man. I was in the stands, when you guys won your first SEC championship, sitting in the corner. My brother-in-law was on that team with you, Lawrence Hatch. And he was a big, he was a track guy over in California. And he had a lot of influence on me. Yeah, he had a lot of influence on me, coming up in high school doing track. So, I was there with all the memories with you guys and all the great accomplishments in the early 90s, bro. I was with you.
Well, good stuff. You tell Lawrence Hatch I say hello. That dude could run. No question. I just want to salute you guys because I think it's great y'all putting on a high school meet for these kids because they missed out on their senior year. So I think it's awesome. Appreciate y'all joining the program. We're going to take our final time out here on Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. When we come back, we're going to wrap this show up. You've been watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. The Best Restoration, Masters of Disasters. Pound Hurt, your preferred personal injury attorneys. Peachland Dental, Gator fans' first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School,
Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish,
Radware, Wrap Spot,
and Style Cuts.
If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support this show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. This Day in Sports is brought to you by The Best Restoration. Do you have COVID-19 concerns? Do what everyone is doing and hire The Best Restoration to fully sanitize and sterilize your home or office. Visit their offices this week for a free bottle of hand sanitizer when you mention the code SHANE. Call them at 352-234-8994. This Day in Sports, back in 2000, the 100th U.S. Open, and it's unfortunate, this weekend should be the U.S. Open. At Pebble Beach, Tiger Woods wins his first U.S. Open by a major championship record-setting 15 strokes over Ernie Els and Miguel Angel Jimenez. So hard to believe that was 20 years ago, Tiger with his first U.S. Open win. Unfortunately, no U.S. Open this weekend. Really want to thank Eddie Shannon, former point guard, for joining the program, and then Wayne Fields and Danny Krant talking about the Peak Performance Track Club and their big event this weekend at Santa Fe High School. Don't forget, folks, to go and follow our show on Facebook Live. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, and you don't want to miss tomorrow's program. We got the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, my old coach, will be joining us. And then Mr. College Football, Tony Barnhart. You see him on CBS all over the place. It'll be a great show for sure. So make sure you tune in for that. And got a great lineup for you next week. We'll promote that this weekend. But today's show is a wrap brought to you by Wrap Spot. A vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call Wrap Spot today. Hey, folks, be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.